Finally, Tesla is rolling out matrix headlight support and software update in Europe. It also adds a new one-time charge limit feature, which I really like. This option appears when you increase the car's charge limit above the daily driving recommendation. So for example, you want to go on a road trip and you want the Tesla vehicle to charge to 100% that one single time only. You set it to that one-time setting, you go on a road trip, you park your vehicle someplace later, and it goes back to the normal setting. Maybe if Tesla could change the one-time exception to, let's say, for how many days you want to do that. Because if I go on a road trip, let's say for 2 days, 3 days, every day I want to charge to 100%. But after I'm back, I don't want to charge to 100%. So I like this new change, but they could also make it even better. Wes from Tesla commented on Tesla enforcing the no resale clause. He says, "We build vehicles for people who love and enjoy them, not to flip for profit without adding any value. This shouldn't need to be said or enforced." I think that's fine to do when the vehicle is new. Later on, once the vehicle does not really have a waiting list, I don't really think that's okay to do though. And once the waiting line disappears, I expect Tesla to remove that resale clause. The year is 2032. Tesla's still selling Foundation Series Cybertrucks. They don't look quite as futuristic as when it launched in 2024. Seriously though, how long will this last? For how long will Tesla keep selling these Foundation Series Cybertrucks? James is guessing maybe it's going to be the first 5,000. Of course, it is great for shareholders, so James is not complaining here. Morgan Stanley's Adam Jonas has released a new Tesla stock note. Tesla and Bitcoin have been long seen as a barometer for investor risk appetite. Since this past September, however, the historically positive correlation between Tesla's share price and Bitcoin has broken down. So what is going on? Bitcoin just reached another all-time high. Adam Jonas says this has to do with Tesla's negative revisions, investors really beginning to avoid EV-exposed names from late last year. Also, Tesla shares used to fund more active momentum AI plays, and Tesla right now, it's a bit like a hibernating bear, which, you know, will wake up, but when exactly? That remains to be seen. However, Morgan Stanley expects to see earnings revisions trough in mid-year before investors contemplate the potential of a new model cycle and Tesla's optionality to the broader AI theme. Morgan Stanley remains very bullish on Tesla stock. Here's Tesla stock, and Bitcoin specifically is in blue, and you can see that these two had very high correlation, but not anymore. Now, if you own a lot of Tesla stock and you want to be a little bit diversified, I would say own S&P 500. If you really want to own Bitcoin, maybe throw a little bit of it in there. I personally, though, I don't own any Bitcoin at this moment. And if you have been a subscriber for a while now, you'll remember that I talked about Bitcoin somewhere closer to the end of 2022. And I said, if it drops about 80%, I will become highly interested, but it never did drop that much. So my thesis was generally right, but my timing was not perfect. Anyway, I personally would rather own Tesla stock than Bitcoin because Bitcoin does not provide any earnings. Tesla stock eventually, I strongly believe, will pay dividends. Bitcoin, I don't think it will ever pay dividends. Gary Black just made a comment about Tesla's most recent lawsuit. A third Tesla Autopilot case goes to trial next week in San Jose, California. The new case involves a fatal March 2018 crash of the Tesla Model X driven by Apple engineer Walter Wang, who was reportedly playing a video game just prior to the crash. That's silly. Don't do that. Seriously, don't do that. In two prior Autopilot jury trials, Tesla was found not liable by arguing that drivers involved had not heeded its instructions to maintain attention while using the Autopilot system. And he was an engineer, so he should have known better. Plaintiff attorneys in this case will present testimony from Tesla witnesses indicating that before the accident, the automaker never studied how quickly and effectively drivers could take control if Autopilot accidentally steers towards an obstacle. But if you got your hands on the wheel and you are paying attention, it takes no time to, oh, it's turning where it shouldn't be turning, so you just don't let it turn. There's no time needed to react if you are paying attention, but your hands have to be on the steering wheel. Tesla will argue the Autopilot system can steer accelerate and brake by itself on open roadways, but can't replace a human driver, especially in city driving. Tesla materials explaining the system warn that it doesn't make the car autonomous and requires a fully attentive driver who can take over at any moment. By the way, I strongly disagree with comments like this. Gary sold his shares, now he's going to bash the company relentlessly to try and buy them back lower, straight from the Gerber playbook, weak and spineless. Gary Black still owns some Tesla stock. It's not as much as before, but he still owns it. And as a fund manager, his incentive is to have good short-term performance. And then if long-term performance can follow, that would be great too. But short-term performance is more important. It's how many fund managers think. I'm not sure if Gary admitted to that. Maybe he has a different strategy, but that's my general take on fund managers.